welcome again to Spotlight. And we've got Coral Stevens with us, and she's back in a little village in West Wales called Abersoch, or if you're Welsh, it's Abersoch, which is a bit of a mouthful, I know. But it's been very good chatting to you because, Coral, we used to live in just round the corner from where you are in Abersoch in northwest Wales. And also, we live round the corner now. We're in Portugal, and you lived in Portugal for a number of years. You've still got your place. So we're practically neighbours on two different countries. And so welcome. Listen, tell us about the Portuguese thing. What you in Wales for instead of sunny Portugal?
Well, that's a good one, Rodney, because if it was my choice, I think I'd still be in Portugal. But Nigel, my other half, grew up in Abersoch, and it was always his desire to move back here. And I think when we had really bad fires, that might have been the turning point, because he didn't like the heat, and the fires were a little bit scary at the time.
Well, they are. We get lots of fires back in Spain when we're back there, especially. And of course, people don't realise that the smell and the choking is appalling, and it lasts for weeks, doesn't it? It's not just the heat of the fire. So it is scary.
Yeah, the ash was a bit of a problem.
Yes.
we used to visit certain hotels because Nigel, my other half, did caricatures in the hotels. And there was one particular block of apartments where we went, and the ash was pouring down in the swimming pool, and the punters or the holiday makers didn't appear to realise there was anything wrong, and they were coming out covered in ash because it was sticking to their suntan oil.
Not nice. Well, listen, we're going to talk about two pals of ours because we both knew Wayne Fontana. That takes us back to the 60s. And Wayne, well, we didn't know him the first time we met him. And you know about this story, but we got married in 1965. And we were stepping on the plane on a Wednesday afternoon at Ringway Airport, as it was called in those days, Manchester Airport. And there were thousands and thousands of people cheering us off, we thought. Now, it was a Wednesday because Mum and Dad had the original corner shop, and they wouldn't shut on a Saturday or a Sunday for us to get married. It had to be Wednesday afternoon, which was always the time off, bless them. And we took advantage of that, and lo and behold, there he was, 2 or 3 seats in front of us, Wayne Fontana. Well, it was nice to see him, but we were a bit disappointed, I must say, that they weren't cheering us off. There were thousands, and the noise was horrendous. And you could hear it in the aeroplane with the double, triple glazing or whatever. So that's the first time we met Wayne, but the real time was a few years ago when we had a very personable interview with him back on the Isle of Wight after a performance. And just to give the viewers a taste, we're going to see a bit of that performance now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next song was a worldwide #1 hit. For somebody. No, it was mine. It was a worldwide #1, except for England. I only got to #2 with this in England, unfortunately. But I was beaten by a far superior song. The Singing Nun singing Dominica. Nika. What a week she picked to have her one and only hit. She could have done it any time. I could have had a #1 everywhere. No, that was Frank Highfield. I remember you. Some of the blokes will know that joke. Ladies and gentlemen, even though this was a #1, it was chosen by Cadbury's to advertise their new Slimmers drink. It doesn't work. I drink it all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, see if you're old enough to remember this. Thank you.
Well, there you go. He wasn't only a talented singer, he was a talented cabaret artist. He was very funny, very dry sense of humour. Was he like that in real life?
He certainly was, yes. We got the giggles many a time. When they were first coming over to our house in Wembley, the first time when I was 14 years old, then Wayne and Sue came over. Sue was his first wife. They'd only been married a few weeks at the time. And I was so excited they were coming over that I said to my mum, Sin and Glue were coming, instead of Glyn, which was his real name, of course, Glyn and Sue. Well, they got the giggles over that. And then he told us a story about a newscaster who did a 21-son galoot on the news.
Well, you've been an aficionado of Wayne for a long time, and you now actually run, let's call it a fan club, but you've been his #1 fan for donkey's years, and you formed a very personal relationship with him. And we've noticed, because we filmed, I think, practically every one of the 60 stars, and in recent years, as you know, they've been on the circuit doing major theatres and hotels, and lots of them now have new hits, can one say, but I tell you what, they still sing brilliantly. And one of the things we noticed before filming, there's always a sound check with a 60 star and with any star. Now, with the modern people that are singing, pop songs, it's the whole afternoon you spend with them getting the sound absolutely right. But with the 60s brigade, they turn up, they put their big amplifiers on stage, and I ask them, okay, guys, let's do a sound check. No, it'll be all right, lots of them say. And it's plug and play. It's brilliant. It just, perhaps because they've been doing it so long, but it does work out. Well, I mean, if you sing the same song, and I always used to ask this question, do you not get fed up of singing the same song? So I'm going to ask you that. Do you get fed up of listening to the same songs?
No, I don't get fed up of listening to them. I've got so many of them. I can pick and choose what I listen to. And recently, since his death, we have discovered that there's some old cassettes and old reel-to-reel tapes, and we have I have had them transferred to a USB, sorry, and I had a CD actually made with one of the songs that had never been recorded before or released before, and we have some more as well still to come.
Now, there are two great songs that we've got to mention, really, that really drove him to stardom. But there were loads of others that today would have been top of the pops. But can one say that in the 60s there was a bit more competition? The songwriting was phenomenal. One of his favourites, of course, his own song was Pamela. But there was one that sort of really topped the charts worldwide, except as we hear in that clip we just played. Tell us about that. Some of the singing, none beat him to the top spot, did she?
The Game of Love got to #1 in America, and actually it was that same time when they were at our house. He made a telephone call and was told that it was #1 on the Billboard charts. So I was very excited that day. Game of Love was also used on a television advert in the UK anyway for Coca-Cola. So they were still getting royalties for that one for quite a while. Mm. And then my favourite, actually, and I was present at the recording session with him and his wife, is 24 Sycamore. And that one should have been a big hit. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but it was for Gene Pitney a little later.
That's right. You can never tell these things. You know, you've got to hit the thing at the right time. Timing is just as important as the actual song. And Gene Pitney, mega guy, and I've interviewed Gene, and what a great talent. But something has got to go all together right at the right time. And well, I don't think Wayne had the best of luck sometimes. He got extraordinary songs, but you think of promoters and management. Go on, be honest. Did he have good management, or did he have management that a lot of times took all the money and didn't do as much as they should?
Well, I only know the answers to that from him himself. And yes, he did say that he got very little. He was promised the world, but he didn't get the world. He did have nice things, but he didn't realise that he had to pay for them later.
Yeah, indeed. Now, you've been a family friend for ages, and at one stage he wanted you to work for him, look after the kids.
That's right. Well, it first happened before he even had any children, and they were expecting their first child. And at the time I was going through a pretty rough time at home, and my parents had just split up, and Wayne and his wife offered for me to go and live with them, to be a nanny for their baby when it was born and I had finished school. But I knew even at that time, I think I was 15 years old then, and I thought, no, it wouldn't really be the right thing to do, so I didn't. But I did babysit quite a few times in later years.
I've been a relationship over many years, and again in the pop world, most of the artists are phenomenally good, nice, kind people. And I say phenomenally because it's a tough business, it's a tough world, and it's easy to fall off your perch. There are extraordinary pressures. And Wayne felt that a little bit later, I know, but at the beginning, he was always a very kindly person, had time for you. One or two of the stars, if you wish, were a bit big for their proverbial boots. Wayne was never like that.
No, he wasn't. As far as a friend, he was there whenever I needed a friend. Maybe not living in the same part of the world, but we always were in contact with each other. And that friendship lasted for 54 years. So he was always there as support.
I'm sure. And a talented man. I mean, he did songwrite. And he could draw a bit. We've got a sketch of you. How about that? Dare we show it? Yes, we will. And real talent. And listen, you seem to associate with yourself with people with sketching talents. Your husband, and I've got a picture here of Wayne, a sketch of Wayne drawn by him. So we'll show that as well. There you go.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal likeness.
I've got something else as well that you haven't seen, Rodney, and I don't know whether it's too big to show you now, but I have it here. I don't know how much of it you can see, but this is something that he did for me to present as 40 years as my favourite singer for Wayne.
Oh my goodness me! Yeah, look, that's perfect. I can see that.
Can you see? It's a cartoon of Wayne over the years, and he actually put that one onto his website as well.
That's brilliant. Yeah, we said he's not got a big head. He wasn't big-headed, but he's got a nice big head there. But it fits in.
Exactly.
Now, it wasn't easy for him for it. Well, he retired for a little while, didn't he? About 1970. Well, a couple of years before that, in actual fact. The hits weren't coming, and being on the road is tough. But he felt being drawn back. But it didn't really happen. But he kept on with it. Difficult times, those?
He's been through quite a lot of difficult times in his life, unfortunately. Several bereavements of family and people close to him. And obviously that's going to have a knock-on effect on somebody. So, yes, he's had his ups and downs.
Indeed. Now, certain people said, although I never felt this with him, that he was a little bit eccentric in that he could push things a little bit. And we've got a picture of his car. Is it a Jag 10 series? I think that one.
Yeah,
and he used to put a flashing police light on top if people got in his way. Is that true?
It is. I've witnessed that one. I think he did it very often. I think that was when he was being a bit cheeky in his younger days.
Yes, but he got away with it. But there are certain things we've got to carry on now, because he went through a very difficult period, didn't he, with drink. And this affects so many drugs or drink of the stars. And how did he get out of that?
Willpower. He actually received help from Alcoholics Anonymous and from other people as well. There was a television actor from Coronation Street actually who did help him through. And eventually he met his partner at the time, and she helped him as well. But it's a tough one, isn't it? It's not easy.
No.
It happened a couple of times. It happened first when he was in his 20s, and I think just the pressure of everything. Yeah. And also being coerced by the other stars when they're doing shows. It was just the thing that they did, wasn't it? Parties after the shows and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to fall into, especially the drug scene, of course. Did he take drugs as well, or was he? It was different.
Not to my knowledge. He did have Valium to settle his nerves before
Yeah.
going on stage, but I'm not aware of him taking anything harder than that.
Before going on stage, and a lot of people are like this, and the average Joe thinks, oh golly, they're used to, working 6-7 nights a week. When they go on stage, it's no big thing, but it was, wasn't it, for him?
Well, I think it is for all of them, and it isn't always just 6 or 7 nights a week. Sometimes there's afternoon shows as well. For example, when he did a pantomime, as well as going on stage singing, he was actually an actor in a pantomime, Jack and the Beanstalk. I've got a few photos of that. I don't know, would you like me to show you a photo?
Yeah, well, yes, he got Jack and the Beanstalk. I know he liked his pantos, even though it was hard work. But there again, because he was a man of talent, he it wasn't just singing, was it?
Singing, acting, and comedy. Was an all-rounder. Here is the original programme from 1968. It was from Swansea Grand Theatre. And that was for Jack and the Beanstalk. And an extra little snippet there for you. There was 2 brothers in there called the Harmon Brothers, who later changed their name to the Chuckle Brothers.
Oh my goodness me. And sadly, we've just lost one of them as well.
Yes, Barry, yeah. That was the page from the programme with the write-up about Wayne. And I took a couple of photos myself. These were in the dressing room. That was, can you see that one?
I can indeed.
Jack. This was later on when he was the hero. Can you see?
Didn't notice about that programme, the price of the programme. Now, the programmes are many pounds now in theatres. And that was 1 shilling. My goodness.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it's a bit scary, isn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, is that 5p translating it? It's not a lot of money anyway.
We don't realise how time flies by, do we?
No, indeed. Now, we filmed him at Bembridge Coast Hotel, which is one of the Warner hotels. And later he came to our place and we did a nice relaxed chat with him. And it was obvious then that he was under a lot of strain. Although he loved what he was doing, he loved the comedy, especially the chat. And it wasn't too long after that he got in trouble with the law. And in one sense, I thought, oh, golly, that's funny. I wish I'd have had the courage to do that. But you went a little bit over the top. Tell us about that.
Well, he did, didn't he? I think he did go over the top. I think he was pushed too hard. It was all to do with parking fines, one of which he swears he was not in the place at the time that the parking fine was issued. So he had a few arguments over it. He was actually asked to pay twice over one fine, which had mounted up because he was arguing over it. And I think it all got a little bit too much in the end. He was being hassled a bit. He had his car broken into at one show. He also was arrested at one show before he went on stage, despite a lot of backup from other artists in the show. So I think all in all, it just pushed him too far.
Yeah, it was all very sad. And I mean, I remember one occasion that he, bankruptcy springs to mind, and he had difficult financial problems. They came to repossess various things up in Glossop there, on the outskirts of Manchester. And we had the story of these heavies coming in, and one of them actually stayed in the car, and Wayne got hold of a can of petrol, which was very unwise, tipped it over the bonnet and set fire to the bonnet. Of course, the guy quickly got out, but potentially that was very dangerous. And of course, he had his collar felt. But there is I don't know the funny side to this. He appeared in court, didn't want anybody who represented him. Basically, as well, he had a shield in his hand with that was a colander. He got St. George's cross on there with a big wooden sword. And he was acting as the real justice in England because he didn't see he was getting any justice. A lot of people perhaps can identify with that. But of course, he got sent down. Well, he didn't actually. He got released because they got hold of him and put him inside. I think it was 11 months, and he'd served his sentence already. Lots of people, maybe, we're not suggesting people do that, can see the funny side of it and how frustrated you can get out sometimes, and that the innocent, inverted commas, can get put away, but the other people that are clearly guilty of the most heinous crimes seem to get away with things. But having said that, it was the wrong thing to do. But what was his state of mind during that time? Was he at the end of himself?
Well, some people said he was mad when they looked at the pictures, but he wasn't mad. Yes, he was mad, cross, because he wasn't getting the justice that he thought he deserved. I don't think what he did was right, but he does stress that it didn't just happen that he set fire to the bailiff's car. He did ask them to move their car a couple of times and they wouldn't move it, and he wanted to get his car out. And then he did warn them and they took no notice. And eventually, I think he lost his rag. So, yeah, it may be a temporary minute of insanity, but he certainly wasn't insane.
He did lots of things even after that with the Silver 60s and other agents that were, and it's been very popular, especially with the older generation, the 60s nights, and with the younger generation. We still film a lot of 60s nights, and it's not, dare one say, just the grannies. There's lots of younger people that are realizing how great the 60s were and the music was so good. But things went downhill in that he wasn't well, was he?
No, the last few years of his life, unfortunately, he wasn't very well at all. I don't think he actually realized how ill he was. But these things happen to all of us at some point.
Yeah, and he had cancer. He died eventually of cancer. He was 74. We had a real pal, Jet Harris, and of course, Jet was with Cliff Richard in the early days, then the Shadows, and Jet was performing on his own, and he got cancer and bravely fought on. And I'm mentioning this specifically because he had a lady in his life very similar to you that supported him for many years, and this was so important, that the ladies seem to be very sympathetic and get through to the real person, because the management don't always do that. How did you feel? You were clearly one of these people that could see through the gloss, the stardom, and get to the real person. Finally, tell us the real person as you saw him.
He was like a big brother to me. He was totally human, no airs or graces about him. He was a little bit shy of the fans, I think, if anything. He always wanted to please people. He did have a sense of humour, as you mentioned before. He had a wonderful singing voice, and his love in life was singing. That's all he really wanted to do. From being in his teens, he started singing. And he was a star, which I'm sure pleased him, but he was back to his normal everyday life other than that. He sent postcards, he sent Christmas cards, he used to send texts, emails, everything everyone else close to you would do. And he was always there as a friend. He was supportive. What more can I say, really?
Yeah, I remember the text I got from Wayne in the later years, of course, as Glyn Ellis. He seems to be preferred to be called that. And some of them were wild and so terribly funny. And it's so sad. But he's given a lot of pleasure for many years and still does, because you're carrying on Facebook, aren't you? And it would be good to mention this, because if you want to know more about the life of Wayne, then anybody can get on Facebook and be invited. Tell us how we do that.
Yeah, it would be lovely to get more people, but we've got a fan page, which is a group on Facebook. It's the Wayne Fontana fans. You just need to ask to join on Facebook, and that's fine. Now, on there's so many wonderful things. And you mentioned before about somebody younger being a fan. We've got fans of all ages coming on there. And one of the best fans is 36 years old. She didn't know anything about Wayne until later years. She's got all his records. She absolutely loves him. We've got another lady who posts pictures that she's actually done. Is there time to just show you one?
Indeed.
This is one she did for me to use on the 6th of August, which was 1 year since he passed away, and we all lit candles. So other people were posting things. We had nice memories coming through. I invited some people to put memories on Facebook. We had Glenn Leon from New Inn Corner, who used to back Wayne, and we had some of the 1970s Mindbenders posting. Mike Sweeney, DJ from Manchester. We had some lovely posts. And that's another picture that Maureen's done for us.
That's brilliant.
But the posts that are coming in, I mean, we're getting maybe half a dozen posts at least every day still on that page. So, and we get the most lovely comments as well from men, women, young, old, whatever. And it's like a little family on Facebook, so it's wonderful. And also there is the general Wayne Fontana page, which anybody can access on Facebook. And any important posts that's more businessy, but we put them on. Like, for example, the one song that was I had it released with permission of his daughter. And it was one that Wayne wrote about himself when he was only quite young, and it's never been released, but it's one that we found on one of his old tape recordings. So we've shared that one. So it's just amazing. His memory will never be forgotten, certainly not as long as I'm alive to keep it going.
No, it brings back lots of memories. You know, are you sad or are you happy when you think back of the good times and the not so good times?
Well, mostly happy. I think of the wonderful memories that I've got that nobody can take away. I don't feel like he's gone anyway. I feel like he's here, and as long as I'm still doing things for him, that's great for me. You get your sad moments, but I try and keep it all happy and keep it as positive memories.
Coral, thank you so much. We're going to go out on a little more stuff that we filmed over on the Isle of Wight and Bembridge. This again is Wayne Fontana.
I guess
My stereo's louder than you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to do, because I must have done this place now about 14 times. And we're going to keep doing it till we get it right. I'll never forget the first day I was offered this one. Jack Warner got onto me. Oh, yes, he did. He wasn't just a policeman on the telly. This is inheritance for Jack. Anyway, he phoned up and he said, hello, is that Wayne Fontana? I said, it certainly is. He said, Jack Warner here. I'd like you to do a couple of my hysterical hotels. I said, I'm game. So he shot me. You can't beat me all. So I said, yes, I'll have a go at that. I said, you do know who you're talking to? He said, yes, Wayne Fontana. Wayne Fontana and the Mind Menders. I said, there, yes. I said, but there's one thing, Jack. What are the audiences like? He said, well, they're a bunch of old farts. Jack's words. I said, well, hang on a minute. I said, I'm a bit of a rock and roller. I said, it could be a bit loud for them. He said, don't worry, the majority of them are deaf. So there'll be no problems there. I said, go on then, I'll give it a go. How much? He said, £2,000. So I gave him the £2,000. And I've not looked back. But I tell you what, we've had some lovely times. Not this one. The others are great. You know I don't mean it. I might do, but then again I might not. Enjoyed the food tonight, did you? There was no curry on though. It's usually a bowl of curry, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, there are certain songs in life, and I remember this one, and I love this song because it's dead simple, and there's not many words to remember. And this, I don't know why this is, but you've probably got a certain song yourself that reminds you of a certain place every time you hear it. Am I right? Only with 3 of you. Anyway, I don't know why, but this one reminds me of Hyde Park Corner. No idea why. See if you can find out from the song why it does. I have no idea. It just reminds me. I think I'm driving around Hyde Park Corner.